Welcome to the Martin Luther King Senior Community Resources Collaborative Live Giving Day panel. Here, we'll discuss the importance of community-driven philanthropy and how to adapt your developmental strategy so that your organization can thrive in these uncertain times. Our program will begin soon. We will begin in 3 minutes. We will begin in 2 minutes. In 1 minute. Deetra Russell is Executive Director for the Martin Luther King Senior Community Resources Collaborative. This nonprofit was founded by the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church and seeded by Casey Family Programs to disrupt generational poverty by creating sustainable pathways to economic mobility and empower disenfranchised citizens through social justice reform.
Hello everyone, I'm Deetra Russell and thank you for joining us. Some of you are coming in by Facebook, YouTube, and our Network for Good platform. Well, tonight we're in for a treat. We have an amazing moderator for our event, Ms. Keisha Lancelin. So let's learn a little bit more about her now.
Our moderator, Keisha Lancelin, has been a force behind the growth of WUPA since its inception in September of 1995. While the vision and scope of television has moved with trends of society, she has remained focused on the key aspects of effective and informational programming that speaks to the community. As the Public Affairs Director with Atlanta CW, her days are divided between duties as spokesperson, talent, producer, and community liaison. She is the host of Community Affairs program Focus Atlanta, which celebrated its 20th year anniversary in 2018. Episodes air Sunday afternoons at noon. In addition to producing the program, she maintains relationships with service organizations in an effort to establish WUPA TV as an ongoing venue of support to the community. Her community outreach duties include providing internships to broadcast students, supervising employee volunteerism, as well as airing public service announcements that target issues of importance.
In a few moments, Keisha will lead us in a wonderful discussion tonight. But first, I want you to learn more about this amazing panel that we have tonight. Here they are.
Diane L. Parker is Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the Meredith Corporation. Parker leads Meredith's DEI initiatives and programming across all locations. She has expertise in recruitment, talent retention, employee experience, and partnering with content creators. For the past 20 years, Parker has served as Director, Staffing, Global Diversity and Inclusion for the Associated Press, where she created training, education, leadership development, onboarding, and orientation programs, and redesigned the AP's Global News Internship Program with a key focus on diversity and inclusion. Also, before joining the Associated Press, she served as Human Resources Manager for both Harrah's Entertainment and BJC Healthcare in the St. Louis area. Audrey Galick serves as Community Engagement Manager for the AIB Network, which develops and distributes original programming supporting nonprofit and faith-based organizations with content that educates the mind, strengthens the body, and inspires the spirit. Her work involves coordinating AIB's annual community initiative, developing AIB's volunteer program, promoting AIB programs across social media platforms, and telling stories that promote interfaith and cross-cultural engagement, including documentaries and interfaith-focused programs. She has also served as AIB's Program Content Manager, and immediately prior to joining AIB, Audrey was Volunteer Director at the William Bremen Jewish Home. Audrey also worked for CNN as a writer and news features reporter, as well as Assistant Bureau Producer for CNN Jerusalem. Hillary Dunson is the founder of the Inez Scarborough Agency, an innovative fundraising and business development consulting firm. She is an experienced development professional with demonstrated skills in marketing, fundraising, business development, and event planning. Hillary is an entrepreneur and has worked with the March of Dimes, the Atlanta Jazz Festival, Jack and Jill of America Incorporated, and many other nonprofit agencies. Hillary coaches nonprofit leaders and consults with grassroots nonprofit agencies on fundraising, development, and event planning.
Wow, thank you so much, Deidre, for having me. First of all, I'm really excited to be a part of this discussion. It's going to be a fantastic discussion full of information, and I can't wait to jump right in and get to it. So Deidre, let me start with you. This is your second year doing the Give 828 campaign and hosting a critical discussion. Remind some and inform others about this day and its purpose.
Well, thank you, Keisha. The mission of the Martin Luther King Senior Community Resource Collaborative is to disrupt generational poverty, create sustainable pathways to economic mobility, and also to help support disenfranchised citizens through social justice reform. We support the Give 828 Day because it's the National Day of Giving to highlight support for Black benefiting and Black-led organizations. We want to make sure this day is recognized and historical events that took place on August 28th for everyone to know and to elevate the work of Miss Ebony Cooper Johnson, who created this day a few years ago to bring more awareness to that and other events around the August 28th. So that is why we support the 828 National Day of Giving for Black-led and Black benefiting organizations.
Well, first of all, we'd like to give a big thank you to our panelists for agreeing to be a part of this amazing discussion. We are not far beyond the COVID pandemic effects, and we're still dealing with the ongoing ramifications. Now continues to be a very challenging time for nonprofits that are Black-led and Black benefiting. Last year, you focused on the impact and importance for there to be an increase in Black philanthropy. This year, we turn our attention to the media, and it's no wonder, since it is the media and the use of media that sets things in motion for greater opportunity for learning and listening and action over this past year. First, I want to give each panelist an opportunity to tell us why 828 National Giving Day discussion is so important that they joined us here today. Diane, let's start with you.
Let me first say there is nothing Deidre can ask me to do that I can possibly even think about saying no, considering the great, phenomenal work that the MLK Senior Collaborative resources that they do for our communities. So I must support. There's just no question and doubt about it, because I am committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. I've been in my role at Meredith only for about 6 months. Prior to that, I was with the Associated Press for 20 years, and my focus was DE&I. So it's important for us to help to bring awareness to Give 828 Day. We want to ensure that people are aware that there is a need within the nonprofit sector, within the Black community, to provide support. A lot of attention goes to the for-profit Black organizations and companies. But again, this is an opportunity to create equity for the Black community, specifically in the nonprofit sector.
Thank you so much, Diane. Audrey, please weigh in on this particular topic.
Well, let me first also thank Deidre for inviting me to be part of this amazing event. I only recently had an opportunity to work with her and others at the MLK Senior Community Resources Collaborative and find out about the amazing work of that organization. And like Diane, how could I not say yes when asked to be part of this? I also was not familiar until Deidre introduced me to the 828 Day of Giving, and recognize the vast importance of uplifting and amplifying the voices of Black-led and Black supported nonprofit organizations, and the importance of reaching out to everyone to say, here is an opportunity to walk your talk about equity and inclusion and diversity, and making sure that Black-led organizations, nonprofits, have the resources that they and that we all need to uplift the community. So again, thank you for allowing me and for honoring me with this opportunity to be part of this event.
And last but certainly not least, Hillary, please share.
Of course, I want to thank Deidre for inviting me today. I just recently worked with Deidre, I think a couple of months ago on one of her fundraisers, and we hit it off right away. And she laughed because she says, you know, I'm the chick that tells you your slip is hanging. So I like to tell it like it is. I work with small grassroots organizations, and I love to come in and help them tweak their systems and their programs. So speaking today on 828 National Giving was a great opportunity for me. I'm very thankful to be here. I think everybody should be excited about joining the magic. of giving and receiving on this very special day. This is a day that people give back to Black-led and Black benefiting grassroots 501c3 organizations. And I think it's really an awesome day, and it's an awesome time to highlight that. I think Black philanthropy is very important, and I think that we should, I think it should be highlighted more than just one day a year, but I'm really excited that it's being highlighted on 8/28. And I had a baby born on 8/18, so I love the 8/8 numbers. So I'm really excited about being here and and speaking tonight. So thank you.
Well, Diane, I have to come back to you. I'd love to know more. Please tell us more about your role at Meredith and how that is being deepened by its support of Black-led and Black benefiting organizations.
Keisha, I am responsible for overseeing the entire organization's DE&I initiatives. And it has been a great experience for me in my 6 months at Meredith. We have established several pillars under our DE&I strategy. And the pillars are recruitment, retention, education, and communications. So under the recruitment area, we have supported organizations such as the National Association of Black Journalists, which is a Black-led and Black benefiting organization. They are a national organization, but they also have local chapters throughout the US. They sponsor an annual convention, and we are a major sponsor of their convention, particularly this year. And they also host a very impressive online virtual career fair. Because they have so many chapters throughout the country, they are represented locally within various communities across the US. And that is another way for us to support these organizations, even though they're national, but they trickle down to local communities. Other organizations that we have supported are the Equal Justice Initiative, the NAACP Foundation, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the National Urban League, and the Innocence Project. And again, these may be national organizations, but they have an impact locally across the US within various communities. In addition to that area of support, we also have a focus on education. Educating our employees on what is diversity, what is equity, and what is inclusion, making sure that we're operating from the same page. Because a lot of people think that equity is the same thing as equality, and it is a very different concept. Communications is critical as well. We want to be transparent about our strategies, our goals, and the progress that we're making. So we have developed an internal site where all of this information is provided for our employees. We also have on our corporate website a section on DE&I where we have been very transparent about our workforce demographics as well as our initiatives. We have an employee resource group called Black Print, and they are simply amazing. They do wonderful work to support recruitment, bringing in journalists of color, whether it's to work on content creation or whether it's to work in a business capacity or marketing capacity or in our corporate division. But they are great partners with us as it relates to recruiting and finding talented individuals and education. Because again, a lot of what we do may be done internally, but through Black Print, they host various events that also tap into local communities. They are partnering, for example, this year with Black Women Who Tech and doing a sponsorship and collaborating on various events with that organization. So we are committed to Black-led and Black benefiting organization as it supports our DE&I initiatives internally.
Thank you so much, Diane. Now, Audrey, tell us about your community work and what you've seen related to telling the story and securing more media for Black-led and Black benefiting organizations.
Honestly, I wish we had 2 hours to talk about this. There's so much that we could cover. In terms of AIB Network's commitment to community work, and to uplifting and supporting nonprofits. We have a monthly program called Making a Difference. And actually, that was in the context in which I came to be familiar with the Martin Luther King Senior Community Resources Collaborative, or should I say the collab, as I've heard it referenced. And in that program, we focus on the mission and vision, the history, the different services and programs provided. We really try and tell the story of that organization. And we also at the AIB Network have a number of shows that uplift and again, and use the words before, amplify the voices of the nonprofit community. And we also engage in partnerships with individual organizations like, as Diane mentioned, AABJ, and also other organizations in the community that work in a variety of communities around Metro Atlanta. But in terms of how we can secure more media for Black-led and Black benefiting organizations, really at the core of this, it is establishing relationships with members of the media. It's very infrequent that you can just parachute in with a story or with an interviewee and get coverage. It's oftentimes a matter of planting seeds and watering and nurturing those relationships over a number of years. And you might not get any coverage. And then all of a sudden at the last minute, Christmas Eve, when you're turning off your phones, that you might get a frantic call and say, hey, I remember you. But so at the core, it's really relationship building. And then once you build those relationships, it's about being dependable. Can they depend on you for subject matter experts and timely phone calls or emails returned? And if they need material, particularly if it's a visual medium, and let's face it, everything is a visual medium these days, whether you're working for a newspaper, a wire service, or even radio stations on their websites, need imagery. Are you forthcoming with the good, rich visuals that can help illustrate your story? And also, are you reaching out to the right media? We need to all do our research. Is this an organization that their audience is exactly who we want to reach? And you may have to scour websites or even pick up the phone and call and just say, hey, what are you looking for in terms of stories? Are you looking for feel-good stories? Are you looking for impactful, emotion-driven stories? Are you looking for people who can supply the facts, human interest stories, et cetera? And if you're wanting people to come to an event, people in the media need even information about logistics. Something as simple as where do we park, or where are the plugs? Things that you might not think about. And and the other thing I often am concerned about when I show up at an event is there some kind of extraneous music playing that, of course, is not in the public domain and I can't use it. So in a way, this is a little bit nuts and bolts, and it's the basics of reaching out to media, but it's also being timely and also being respectful of deadlines and of what a news organization needs, and having your information organized in a logical fashion. Do you have your the history, the background, your mission, vision, everything laid out in an easy to access fashion? Because you just never know when somebody late at night will be finally writing the script for a program and need that information. Is it readily available, let's say, on a website? And also make sure that you're providing people with something as simple as people's names spelled correctly, or phone numbers, or their titles. Is it do you want someone referred to as chairman of the board of directors or board chair? I know that, again, it sounds like a small thing, but at the end of the day, it can really make a difference. I mean, basically, are you dependable? And I do think that media these days are looking for stories that have to do with diversity and equity and inclusion, and examples of where people are coming together across differences and sitting together to help understand each other. You know, what's going on in something like even the theater community to support inclusion and uplifting the voices of the voices that have really not gotten that much attention in the past. And I think just being easy to work with, accessible. Here's my cell phone number. Reach me through text. Cell. Whatever it is to make yourselves available, especially at the time of need for a journalist.
That was great information. Thank you so much. Well, there is more great information, so we will be right back with more right after this break.
Let's take a moment to recap the significance of 8/28 and why this day is important to all of us. 14-year-old Emmett Till was brutally murdered. Dr. King delivered his iconic I Have a Dream speech. Hurricane Katrina made landfall in Louisiana. And Barack Obama accepted the Democratic nomination for president. All of these significant events happened on August 28th. I am excited about this 8/28 National Giving Day, and I want you to be excited too. So let's get back to the discussion.
We are back, and we thank you all for joining us tonight. We have more great questions and more great insight. If you want to connect with our host organization, we will place the website in the chat area, and additional information will be provided to you later this evening. Hillary, let me start with you. You work with numerous nonprofits, large and small. Tell us about your agency and what you see as the best ways an organization has used the media to further their mission and why you believe it's important.
Thank you, Keisha. So my agency, I literally just started. I named it after my grandmother, which is also my name, the Inez Scarborough Agency, innovating fundraising and business development. So I work with large nonprofits and small nonprofits, but I have a passion for grassroots nonprofits, the small nonprofits that, they just need a few things just to get to the next level. So I like to come in and just kind of help people really gain their confidence in raising money. One of the biggest things that small nonprofits start with a great mission, and then they're like, I'm afraid to ask for money. They'll tell their story, but then they won't ask. You will be amazed at how many people put together a website and so forth, and there's no donate button. You're like, hey, where's the donate button? Or they'll speak and they'll forget to ask for money. It's like, it's nonprofit and we run by donations. So the biggest thing that I get what warms my heart is when I can come in and pretty much change an organization, just with little things and just letting them know what they need to do to fundraise. So I do that through, helping them with small fundraisers, helping them with board development, helping them seek out the boards, understanding board commitments. Don't just bring your friend onto the board because they can, they're your friend and they'll say they can do it. Make sure that person is committed to you financially and timely, because you need them to attend meetings and also raise money for you. It's very important that all board members raise money. I also help with grants, finding grants. I've only written a few grants, but I do help people find grants, and that's another key thing. And then also get the word out about other nonprofits in terms of their mission. People give to people. They don't give to organizations. So it's really important that you tell your story and be passionate about it and keep talking about it. Like if you're out at an event, networking, you're on a trip, no matter where you are, talk about your organization, talk about the connection you have to the organization, then try to connect with the donor in regards to the organization. When I used to work for the March of Dimes, the biggest thing, we talked to people who had premature babies. And you have that, that impacts so many people, so many levels. But if you're just reaching out to somebody, a single parent, a single person that is not having kids or hasn't had kids yet, they may not connect with, why I need to give to the March of Dimes who focuses on premature birth. So it's really important that you connect with your people that you're talking to and connect your story and connect to their heartstrings is the biggest thing. But Shanti, one thing about Shanti is that she started at the top, and then she had issues with some mental health issues, trauma and concerns, and she talks about it. She just gets out there. She's like, hey, I thought about committing suicide. I didn't do it. Thankfully, I'm here. I had a family member that committed suicide, and she talks to her friends about it. So she is on the Breakfast Club. She's friends with Charlamagne the God. She's friends with all these other artists that are in LA and New York, and she reaches out and talks to them. She didn't just start her nonprofit and just hoping to get grant money. She is out there preaching and talking about her story and getting people to understand that mental illness affects everybody. Even if you think, oh, it's not going to affect me. Black Lives Matter, that campaign affected all of us. When a Black person drives down the street and they see the police, we're all stressed about that. That's trauma. PTSD, when kids see their friends shot on the street, that's PTSD. All that is mental health, grieving. Those are things that a lot of people in the community, they think the last thing they need to do is go see a therapist or a psychiatrist. Silence the Shame works hard to make sure that people understand that there are benefits from seeing therapy and that you can get help. You don't need to turn to drugs or alcohol or anything like that. The important thing is that you can get help, and a lot of people do get help. So, but they do a really good job of telling the story. They do it by, like I said, she connects with radio stations, social media. They post every day. If there's a story that's out that's related to their nonprofit, like Naomi Osaka, her situation recently, Silence the Shame posted about that. So when you post about that, people see you. People reach out to that organization. It's just amazing the strides she has made, where people like, oh, I've seen the Silence the Shame. When she first launched 5 years ago, she got 90 million impressions the first month that she launched, and it was all social media, Instagram, Facebook. But it was her connections, but it was her connection with her telling her story, and people like, wow, I didn't know you were going through that. And the story was shared and shared and shared. So she's kept that momentum going. So what I'm helping her to do, turn that momentum into fundraising, raising money, giving back. She had a fabulous fundraiser this year. She had top people participate in her fundraiser. D-Nice, Common, Charlamagne the God. I mean, so many people just came to her because, came out for her because she asked them a favor. This is my nonprofit. I left the music industry. I need your help. I need you to help raise money. And she just talks about it all the time. So I think she does a really, really good job. And I think the biggest thing is telling her story.
Thank you so much. Now, Hillary dropped a lot of
I don't know if I'm able too much. I'm sorry.
No. Hillary dropped a lot of pearls of knowledge. I hope that everyone was taking notes, because some of those things were very important and very helpful. I hope that everybody had an opportunity to kind of, jot some of those points down. Audrey, let me kick it over to you. What recommendations do you have for Black organizations to effectively work with the media outlets, and what tools do they need to engage with the media?
Well, I just want to emphasize what Hillary was saying about storytelling, being able to tell your story and tell it authentically, and even be vulnerable. If there are some really tough things that we might think wouldn't be impactful, perhaps those are the exact kinds of things that you need to share. About just some of life struggles, because we all have them. So making sure that your spokespeople are prepared to work with the media and are familiar with their story. I would recommend that. And just to make sure, again, I think I mentioned this earlier, that they're accessible and that a variety of different stakeholders can share your story, from board members to staff people to beneficiaries of your services, in particular beneficiaries of the services of nonprofits. Somebody who is a success story, or is willing to share maybe even some of the times when they had to step back, or they had missteps, but the organization was there for them at a difficult time. And I just would suggest that organizations perhaps go above and beyond in reading some of the suggestions for organizations. I read someone say, send a thank you note. Well, I think maybe the era of a printed thank you note, I don't want to say it's over, but certainly an email or a text, something that, doesn't require expending fossil fuels is a good way to go. Just acknowledging that a reporter, you've done good, even if they misspelled your name, but at least you got the coverage. But again, it maintains the relationship, and it also offers an opportunity for you to say, hey, if you ever are looking for an expert in a particular area, or looking, for someone to speak on, whatever the issue is, housing, food insecurity, et cetera, our organization is here for you. And again, I think what I'd like to, piggyback on what Hillary said, is telling stories that matter, telling stories that tug on people's heartstrings. I think that's very important. And also being able to explain the why of a story. Why is this important? They can always get the facts and figures from the website, perhaps, but sharing the emotion. Why are you involved as a board member? What difference has this made in your life? And as far as the tools, well, we're so blessed to live in an era when even our cell phones can record high resolution images as well as video, and so as well as audio. So I would highly recommend using our cell phones to the whatever way we can to record what's going on in our organization, and sharing that with people in the news media, and being familiar with social media, and making sure that all the hashtags or other ways to stay connected with the media in that way, and give them a reason to return to your website time and again, not just for like your major gala or a fundraiser every year, but for other changes or transitions, a new person on staff, or a new program or initiative that's being introduced, but give them a reason to have a variety of touch points through the year.
Thank you so much, Audrey. That again is fantastic information. I have to say, I have to, give a little kudos. Deidre does a fantastic job. Let's just put it out there. She really does a great job of dealing with the media and telling her story and making sure that people are aware. I think Audrey mentioned that, she wasn't even really, knowledgeable about the collaborative until she met Deidre. She's really great at pushing the story. So Deidre, can I just toss this one out to you? Tell us how you have engaged the media, its effects, and what lessons you've learned.
Well, Keisha, I can tell you that's a great question. Over the time that I've been serving at the Collaborative, I've learned a great deal about getting better at working with the media. And I can assure you that we've started out with some very simple things that people mentioned, starting just sharing our events, sharing the events and the work that we've been doing. And we've learned a great deal through just the basic interaction with the media. And you guys have made a lot of great comments tonight that I take, that I hope all of our nonprofits that are watching us are taking home to kind of reiterate and get into practice. We've actually done some things where we've used the press release to kind of get information out, but also when people come on site, we've learned sometimes through mistakes, the better way to work with the media, and having clients ready and willing to tell their story, just as Audrey mentioned. And I think just being authentic and just being able to share, sincerely what is going on with the work that we do, why we do it. I think Hillary made a great point about just being able to connect with people about what that mission really is and why you're so driven, why we do this work. And so we've done media in different phases, and we're getting much more proficient in social media these days, which everybody's becoming. And that's been an area that we've had to grow. And I think as nonprofit leaders, we have to be very honest about what do we know how to do and what we don't know how to do. Bring in the right talent. Look for volunteers. Look for people to help you out. Listen. Take advantage of conversations like this to go back, work with your team, talk about the things you've learned here today, and use the media in a much more successful way. And so I think for us, we've used it in some areas where I think we've done a great job. I thank each of you because I learned and met you all through some of our media interactions, which is culminated into a great relationship where we could host an event tonight, which we believe was going to be very beneficial to several other nonprofits. And then just overall being mindful and open to learning new ways and better ways in which we can engage the media. So we've done it well in some cases. We're learning and we look to get much, much better, particularly after this conversation today, Keisha.
Thank you so much. This has just been fantastic. This is right up my alley. I have loved it. I hope that everyone else has enjoyed it as well. As we close out, what final advice would you like to give to nonprofits looking to learn how to better engage and use media to gain support for their own mission? Diane, can we start with you?
Keisha, before I give my final comments, I'd just like to say it has been a delight to serve on the panel with Audrey and Hillary. I have benefited from hearing their comments and their perspectives. This has been a great opportunity. I also want to commend Deetra and the MLK Senior Collaborative for sponsoring such a wonderful and impactful event. My advice is to make sure you research the organizations that you're interested in establishing a business relationship with. You need to know and understand their vision, their mission, and their commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Align yourself with them. Ensure that your mission, your vision, and your goals that you desire to achieve are similar in focus. It will be much easier to make your pitch if there is a connection with the organization. How do you make that connection? Understanding their mission, their business, and their goals. This is the time, like never before, to build these relationships as organizations are leaning in on their diversity initiatives. So don't let this opportunity pass you by. Jump on this opportunity and build those relationships, but do your homework first. And always, whatever you present, whatever your service is, whatever your business is, make sure that it is done with a spirit of excellence. That is not shabby, that everything that you do is done with a spirit of excellence, and that you present it to these organizations with a spirit of excellence. Thank you.
Fantastic advice. And we have the best panelists here to help you to get that message out with a spirit of excellence. Hillary, I'm going to go with you next.
Well, again, I want to thank Deetra for having me. I want to thank the MLK Collaborative. I want to say it was nice to meet Audrey and Diane virtually. I think this was a great panel. Deetra, you did a wonderful job. But my bit of advice in regards to working with the media is, number one, as I mentioned before, make sure you post on a regular basis so people see that you're out there, so you pick up followers, etc., and that people can link to your story. The other bit of advice is with the media, I think people don't think about just reaching out to the media and asking for in-kind gifts, like, posting or having your story. The media is always looking for stories to tell. So sometimes people assume a radio station, if I advertise for my fundraiser, it's going to cost me this amount of money. But if you call and say, hey, can you post information about our fundraiser and we'll list you as an in-kind sponsor? That's a way to get free advertising. The media is always like I said, they're always looking for a story, and they're always willing to help. To say, I'll list you as a supporter, a sponsor. You'll be surprised at how many people will be willing to help. Even major television networks will help. There's always some piece of that they want to give back to the community, so they'll do free advertising for you. So that's another way to connect with the media. And just don't forget to market to your constituents. Whoever you're trying to reach, make sure you're marketing to them, marketing to that age group, marketing to who you think will give back. Just make sure you're marketing to the community in that sense. And keep your stories fresh and alive and new. Not people don't want to hear old stories. They want to hear what you're doing now, how you're helping the community now. What have you done lately is a really true phrase that people want to, they want to be a part of, like, how are you helping right now? So that's my advice. And again, thank you all for having me. This has been really exciting and a lot of fun. Thank you.
Audrey, I'm going to ask you to close us out with a bang. Give us some tips in terms of what type of final advice you'd like to leave with everyone.
Well, the funny thing is, as Diane and Hillary were speaking, I'm sitting here nodding my head like, yes, that's exactly what I would say. And you both did just a beautiful job. And there's really not that much I feel I can say except offer my gratitude and my deep honor for being part of this. But I will say that among the things I was impressed with, for example, at the MLK collab, was that I don't think we were there within about 1 minute before our team from AIB Network was offered water and then some. It was such an example of hospitality and something that I will never forget. So go the extra mile and don't give up. Even if you don't hear from a news organization or a news outlet, just be persistent and keep telling your story. As Hillary said, keep it fresh, alive, and new and relevant. I like to say that AIB, probably like a lot of news organizations, we are hungry beasts. We are always looking for content in new and fresh ways. So do not give up. Again, thank you so much.
This has been fantastic. I have to say, I have to piggyback on absolutely every point that everyone made. It has been my pleasure to spend some time with you all this evening. As a member of the media, everything that they said was absolutely spot on. It is our pleasure to tell your stories. We can't come up with these things on our own, right? We have to tell your stories, and we can't do that without knowing what they are and knowing how important it is. Every single point that you've heard from Hillary and Audrey, and again, Deetra does a fantastic job at the collab. Please take this information to heart, jot it down. It will bring your organization the exposure that you deserve for all of your hard work. Thank you so much for having me. It has been my pleasure to be here. Deetra, I'm going to toss it over to you, just saying thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, Keisha, I can tell you this has been a wonderful evening for me just as well. And I'm so grateful to each of you ladies for bringing your skill set, your professionalism, and your gift of time. What you've done tonight is tremendously helped our organization, other nonprofit organizations, as we honor the Give 828 National Day of Giving, but also as we take this opportunity to learn. It's incumbent upon us to learn how to do better at what we do every day, how to tell these stories the right way. And you've given so many nuggets of wisdom that we will all take back this information to our organizations and get stronger at building relationships with the media the right way and being mindful of just all of the reminders that you've given us tonight. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone again for joining us. Keisha did a great job moderating. To Diane, Audrey, and Hillary, I couldn't have asked for a better group of talent to come together with us this year. So we appreciate you and know that you will be seeing more of this as I post on social media and get this out and share it with everyone. And so this message can continue to grow, because I think this is something people can listen to for the remainder of the year and beyond and still take information back to strengthen their missions and build their organizations. So again, we'll close out with a very short video just to give you a little bit of insight on Give 828. And also, as we said, make that ask. Do donate. Today is our National Day of Giving, and feel free to make a donation for 828 Day. Let's take a moment to recap the significance of 828 and why this day is important to all of us. 14-year-old Emmett Till was brutally murdered. Dr. King delivered his iconic I Have a Dream speech. Hurricane Katrina made landfall in Louisiana. And Barack Obama accepted the Democratic nomination for president. All of these significant events happened on August 28th. I am excited about this 828 National Giving Day. and I want you to be excited too.
Today is Give 828. Now let's embrace the push to donate. What's your giving look like? Click our donate button to learn more.